it is crucial for us that when we can get out of our own cave and refocus and realize that at the end of the day, at the end of your life, the key question is, how meaningful was my life? How much quality is in my life? What will be left of what I've done? We have to rediscover the phenomenon of a metaphysical truth. Absolutely.
By the way, the conference you describe in the second part of your book is the characters are real with their names are real.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Let's go back to this fact of the values, of the Greek values as stated by Plato: truth, beauty, goodness, and justice. They are all related. They need each other. In a way, sometimes they are each other. But it's very difficult to speak about these values today because they are much more easily stated than lived or experienced. Why don't you tell me something about these values and their connection with feeling? I don't know if we have, now that I was hearing you, do we have a moral sense, as some philosophers said, something inside you that tells you if something is good or if you want to be related to something, if something is beautiful? These are not only rational stuff that you can, in other words, can these values be taught?
Yes,
can these values be taught in a school or in a university?
Pablo, the reason that I wrote this book and put together one reflection on the return of fascism and the other one, my story about the quest for Prince of View, which is a metaphor for the quest of those values you were just talking about, there is a connection. And the connection is that if you see what's happening in nowadays world, where we do see, that's my argument, the return of fascism as a disease which is inherent to a body politic of a mass democracy. Well, that we started to live in a mass democracy is related to the fact that we have forgotten something, those spiritual values. Now, then the question is, how come? Why? What happened? Why this amnesia? Why are we no longer aware of it? It's a long story. I will not go to that into detail, but there are a few things which are, I think, important to realize. First of all, the discovery of Nietzsche. So Nietzsche then put all of this together and said, well, but God is deaf. What he meant was those spiritual values on the goodness, truth, beauty, they no longer exist. Because he started to realize that with the development of science, with the development of a more material world, he came to the conclusion that those transcendental values, there is no longer a place for it. And he understood the consequences. He understood that without these values, at the end of the day, you will end up in a world of nihilism. And a world of nihilism will always end in war, in violence. Another person who figures in my book, again, like in Noblesse et Spiritu, is Albert Camus, who came out of the thinking of Nietzsche, who embraced it and thought, well, this is it. And after World War II, it came to the conclusion, but what we now gave away are moral values. Now, again, this is related to the politicization of intellectual life. I myself come from a Catholic but social democratic family. I consider myself to belong to the world of liberals, to the world of the left. But coming from that world, already a while ago, I've come to the conclusion that the left, the liberals, have been so stupid to give up on those spiritual values and to think that the only things that matter in life are political values. What they didn't realize, and that was a thing that another man who figures prominently in my books, Thomas Mann, understood very well. that the essence of life can never be captured by politics alone. That you always have to put together culture and politics, or Wittgenstein would say, aesthetics and ethics are one. Please don't disconnect these things, because at the very moment you start to disconnect it, the consequences are that if the left disconnect and it's only politics, you end up with a world deprived of a sense of goodness, beauty, spiritual values, and so on and so forth, because, quote unquote, they can no longer believe in it, right? God is deaf. On the other hand, with the disconnect, you have the conservatives who want to ignore the political values and who are very happy to live their fantasy as if nothing happened since the 19th century, who wants to keep up a kind of fake bourgeois culture in which there is no place for justice anymore. In my books, both Noblesse and in this book, I want to reclaim the meaning of words, and I want to reclaim these notions of metaphysical truth, of the human soul, of love, beauty, inner beauty, because without it, and I want to explain also the fact that the world of culture is carried by moral values, by being able to make the distinction between good and evil.
You quote Thomas Mann and you state yourself that when fascism goes to America, it will do it in the name of freedom, in the name of liberty. Why are words so important? Why is it so important that words kept its authenticity, its real value? Because we live in a society in which words are very
Pablo, this is the $1,000 question. Absolutely. Even more than $1,000. This is also Nietzsche. Nietzsche would say, Nietzsche was prophetic in a horrific way. He said words will lose their value. Now imagine a society in which words would have lost their meaning, their value. That indeed is what a nihilistic society is all about. Everything can mean anything. And so, it's your interpretation or it's your meaning, but I think different.
Nihilism and relativism are
basically
the same thing.
It's basically the same thing. Some would like to make a fashion, but basically they are the same thing. In fact, so in the world of philosophy, postmodernism was the intellectual embracement of something completely nihilistic. Now, why is it that, again, starting with Socrates, but also around 1900, the great cultural critic Karl Kraus said, but we are not, or Thomas Mann, why is it that we are not allowed to meaning of the words? Because the words are our judges, are the critical mirror in which we have to look. And so the most simple example is that if you say to somebody, oh, but I love you, the word love will judge whether you are speaking truth or a liar. If you say, oh, but this is absolutely important, the word importance will judge you whether you understand what is really important, yes or no. The same for justice and so on and so forth. Look, we are in the bookshop where there is this beautiful painting of the widow of Octavio Paz. Octavio Paz in The Labyrinth of Solitude makes the same arguments. The language of poetry is the language where you find meaning. So, to make it more simple, if you have no clue about the meaning of words, you're lost. You're completely lost. You have literally no idea. You have literally no idea what you're talking about. You have literally no idea what you're doing because you do not understand the meaning of words. Now, one of the terrible things that happened, this cultural critic, Karl Kraus, was the first one to come forward on this, is that he put a lot of blame on media combined with commercial culture. Because in the media, it's only about chatter, 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 and the words have lost their meaning. And so this was a first warning of what will happen when an open society is invaded by propaganda. And propaganda is a key tool for the fascist world. But what is propaganda? What was the invention of Goebbels, Hitler, Mussolini, all those people? You know, we can brainwash people. We can brainwash, and propaganda is the misabuse of words. Words. I mean, we know what is written above the entrance of Auschwitz. Yeah. Arbeit macht frei. All lies. So anyway, when words have lost their meaning, the consequence is we live in a world of lies. And people live their own life as a lie. It's only a lie. And they can make up with everything. And so what is the role of poets and intellectuals? Basically, we are powerless. We don't have much power. We, in general, we're not having much money either. But it is our moral duty to be able to say, but this is the meaning of a word. And you can say whatever you want, and be very prominent and think big about yourself, but fundamentally you are a liar. And unfortunately, we live in a time in which we have to say too often this to our ruling class and our power elites, wherever they are. Too often, fortunately there are exceptions to the rule, but too often their words are just a lie.
And since words were not invented by us, each time you defend the meaning of a word, you are really making a tribute to your ancestors, because language are anonymous inventions by many, many people that we never know. It's a spiritual transmission through language, right?
That, and again, you know, listen, I always, in my work and in my books, I want to point at the fact that the kind of conversation we are having and the work we are doing, that is not just for a small elite talking to each other, you know, living a fantasy in something strange like philosophy, but that we are talking about social consequences.